Jamie, if you do not sit... I don't fucking want to sit down! You do not tell me when to sit down! You do not control my fucking... Look at me now!
Hi, I'm here to talk to you about Adolescence, a show that's taken over social media recently. And with good reason. The portrayal of therapy, the portrayal of a lot of adolescence-related themes are very, very well portrayed in this show. I want to talk about 3 things that I feel the therapist would do very differently in a real-life setting. Of course, all of these things need to be taken with a grain of salt because she's there for a very different reason and not really for psychotherapy particularly. However, the first thing that I would do differently, self-disclosure. She does talk a little bit about herself in the beginning, and she does tell Jamie about her upbringing and what she called her grandfather and things like that. In a real-life setting, too much self-disclosure can be really problematic, especially with a client who's defensive or resistant or aggressive, because it can be used against you. Similarly, we see that in the show as well, where, instead of creating rapport because she's told him about herself, he actually uses it against her in a couple of places and says that she's too posh or that she wouldn't understand. The second thing that I would do differently is when the client starts to get defensive about something, like Jamie does when she talks about his family, I would change my approach a little bit and not become too directive or dominant about the questioning style that I'm taking. I would maybe ask questions a little bit differently, or I would maybe validate what the client is bringing in. So, for example, when Jamie says that my father was great and he was amazing to me, I would validate that. I would lean into that conversation a little bit more. What are some of the things that he enjoys doing with his father? What are some of the things that he feels his father does really well as a dad, both for him and his sister? And similarly, I would take the conversation in a little bit of a different direction. The third thing that I feel, again, a real therapist would do a little bit differently is the kind of questions that she asks when he's getting defensive. The kind of dominance that she has to show him in that situation is something I would do a little bit differently. I think instead of using dominance as, a tool, I would maybe ask different questions or use silence as a space for him to just express whatever anger he wants to express and just get it all out. Those are just some of the things that I would do differently. If you agree or disagree, put them in the comments below. Doesn't matter if you're a client or a therapist.